Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
One student is dead, another is in critical condition after an accident in Franklin County. What we're learning about the victims and the investigation.
And I'm watching a low pressure system that will start to develop off the coast to our south and move in just in time to bring us rain for the weekend. I'll walk you through the latest timeline.
And seeking answers 1 year later, how people in Uvalde are coping with the immense loss after a mass shooting and the lack of answers from authorities. Exactly 1 year since the Uvalde shooting, and we have a shooting on a high school football field in eastern North Carolina.
Michelle McConaughey is in the WRAL Live Center with where this happened. Michelle.
Yeah, we are following reports out of Greenville, North Carolina. A high school was put on lockdown this morning after a shooting near the football field at J.H. Rose High School. We do have video from the scene here. The victim is not a student, we're learning, and has been taken to ECU Health Medical Center with a non-life-threatening injury. Now, that lockdown at that high school has since been lifted, but police say increased security will remain on campus just as a precaution for the rest of the day. Police say there is no ongoing threat to the school. Again, this is J.H. Rose High School in Greenville, North Carolina.
Michelle, thanks for that update. A middle school student in Franklin County was killed and another was injured last night in a crash in Youngsville.
WRAL's Shelley Jackson joins us live from Franklin County. Shelley, so sad to hear about this. Where did this happen exactly?
Well, we are live off of US 1 and 96. Right in the area where that fatal crash happened last night. Now, we are working to get more details on just how that crash happened. But what I can tell you is that Cedar Creek principal Zachary Richards sent a letter to parents today confirming that 7th grader Madison Camptella was killed in that crash. The letter also says another student was seriously injured. I spoke with Madison's family this morning. They told me Madison was in the car with her boyfriend and his mother. The boyfriend is the other student who was critically injured in that crash. And Cedar Creek Middle School says they have extra counselors on hand today to support the students who need it. Renee.
What a loss for that community. Shelley Jackson, thank you. Our Memorial Day weekend forecast is looking wetter and wetter. We're here to help you plan if you're staying in town or heading to the coast or mountains. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at when and how much rain we could get.
It looks like we're going to see rain starting at sometime late Friday, early Saturday morning, and it's likely to be with us at least through Monday. So Saturday, we're going to see a low pressure system moving onshore. That's going to start to spread rain across the entire state. It then stalls over us on Sunday and continues to bring us some showers. It weakens even further on Monday, but there'll still be enough moisture around for some scattered thunderstorms, mainly in the afternoon. Now, we still have several more days of computer model runs to watch, so the timing could change just a little bit, but let's walk you through it starting at 10 a.m. on Friday. That's when we start to see that low developing way down to our south, and out ahead of it, we begin to see the rain pushing northward. This is 7:15 on Friday, and it's raining along the coast. By the time we get to 8 a.m. on Saturday, we are seeing some scattered showers. This version of Futurecast is running a little bit lighter with the precipitation on Saturday. That's 1 o'clock, that's 7 p.m. Warm front begins to lift northward Saturday night, and we see some heavier rain developing. This is Sunday morning at 6 a.m., and we're seeing some scattered showers across the area as early as 6 a.m. Still some scattered rain at 5 o'clock, and then a little bit of a break potentially on Monday morning. There'll likely be a number of Memorial Day events happening, some of those in the morning. Right now, the morning looks dry, but we'll likely see some scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon. So here's a quick recap of our Memorial Day holiday. We'll start to see a small chance of rain late Friday, a high of 72 under cloudy skies, a cool day Saturday with rain on and off for most of the day, and the same thing on Sunday with a high of 71. Then Monday may start dry and end with some scattered thunderstorms and a high of 80 degrees. Coming up, we'll talk about how much rain total we could see for all 4 days.
Elizabeth, thanks. Flags are flying at half-staff today in Uvalde, Texas, as the community and the nation remembers the 19 children and 2 teachers killed 1 year ago today. For many of us, it was the first time we had ever heard of the small town. Jay Gray is there where the community is still grieving and searching for answers.
A year later, Uvalde is strong, but still struggling.
Families devastated, hearts torn.
19 innocent, unsuspecting children and 2 teachers murdered inside their classrooms at Robb Elementary. The calendar says it's been a year since the attack.
It almost feels like time stands still for
it
so many.
does. May 24th you can't, as the families ourselves, of course, some community members, there's no moving on.
The pain of unimaginable loss overwhelming for families of the victims.
Every day, every second, and just imagine everything you love getting ripped from you.
Agony, magnified, some say, by a slow-moving investigation, a lack of accountability for responding officers who waited more than an hour to confront the gunman, and a failure of the Texas legislature to pass stricter gun laws in the wake of the massacre.
And you, representatives, are failing these communities in our state by choosing to use your own beliefs and personal gains to continue to make mistakes.
For many here, nothing makes sense anymore. Their small town, dotted by murals and memorials, honoring friends and family, gone for a year now, and never coming home. Jay Gray, NBC News, Uvalde.
Coming up in our next half hour, we'll examine how the mass shooting in Uvalde prompted security changes at schools in our area.
Right now, a state Senate committee is discussing a plan to expand legal gambling in North Carolina. You're looking at a live picture right now of the General Assembly. The move would allow sports betting on mobile devices. The bill has significant changes from the version passed by the House earlier this year. That could cause some problems. The bill also raises the tax rate paid by operators, allows betting on horse racing, and gives teams and facilities more control. The committee will vote on this version today. Also today, state leaders will address a historic staffing shortage in North Carolina's government. The State Employees Association of North Carolina will join members of the Council of State within the hour to talk about these hiring problems affecting state hospitals, DMV wait times, and more. WRAL learned this month record high turnover cost taxpayers about $500 million last year. State lawmakers have proposed up to 7.5 pay raises over 2 years' time to address the issue, but state employees say that's not high enough.
Police in Fairfax County, Virginia, arrested a Florida man for having a gun on school grounds. The 32-year-old told officers he was on his way to the CIA, which is about a 3-minute drive from a preschool. When police searched his vehicle, they found 2 guns, including an AK-47. He was charged with felony possession of a firearm on school property. We have disturbing new details about the man charged with ramming a U-Haul truck into barriers near the White House twice. Authorities say 19-year-old Cy Kandula got out of the truck with a Nazi flag on him. Kandula told officials he wanted to kidnap and harm President Biden. Investigators found a backpack, notebook, and a roll of duct tape in his truck. Park Police, Secret Service, and the FBI are working together on the investigation.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is scheduled to appear before Congress June 7th. Yellen says the Treasury could run out of cash to pay some of its bills by June 1st if the debt ceiling is not raised. It's not clear if Congress and the Biden administration will have settled the issue by the time of the House Financial Services hearing. If not, Washington could be in the midst of a full-blown debt ceiling crisis.
The Carolina Hurricanes will try to claw their way back into the Eastern Conference Final tonight. They must win Game 4 against Florida, or their season is done. The Canes came up short in the first 3 games against the Panthers. Coach Rod Brendamore says the team needs to take it one game at a time. He says his team has had some tough luck so far in this series, but the players' efforts have been strong. The puck drops tonight at 8 in Florida. Win or lose, WRAL is your home for post-game coverage. Hear from fans, players, and our WRAL sports team about all the big plays and takeaways from Game 4. It all starts at 11:25.
You'll need to reconsider your weekend plans if they included a trip to the First Fruits Farm Memorial Balloon Festival. The organizers of the event in Lewisburg just announced it's being pushed back until the weekend of June 3rd and 4th. It was originally scheduled for this weekend, so a week later, the festival includes music, hot air balloons, and tributes to our nation's fallen servicemen and women. WRAL is a proud community partner. Next at noon, new developments in an officer-involved shooting in Fayetteville last July. The state Justice Department is not charging the officers. We'll find out why.
Also, a free service could be returning to Myrtle Beach. How wheelchair accessibility could come back to the beaches there.
Plus, detectives in Fayetteville are looking into a homicide. The shooting was this morning, and at 12:30, we'll get a live report on what happened.
Download the new WRAL streaming apps on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and Android TV.
We're seeing sunshine and clouds in Fayetteville as you're looking live and watching WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
New developments in the state Justice Department investigation into a shooting involving police that killed Jada Johnson. This is a case we've been following since the incident happened last July in Fayetteville. WRAL's Ken Smith joins us now with some background and why the state attorney general decided not to charge the officers involved. Ken?
Yeah, Jeff, we just got word from our Fayetteville reporter Gilbert Bays that Johnson's family is shocked and disappointed by the AG's decision. A state DOJ Special Prosecutions Unit looked into this case. Today, Attorney General Josh Stein concluded charges should not be filed against the officers because the evidence shows the officers faced deadly threats and acted reasonably. Well, last July, when police showed up at Johnson's grandparents' house, family members told officers she was suffering a mental health crisis. Investigators say Johnson ended up pulling out a gun and threatening to harm herself. Officers eventually tackled her, shots were fired. An autopsy showed Johnson was shot 17 times in front of her family. Now, in a statement released by the AG, Stein wrote, "Even when criminal charges are not appropriate, we should always ask whether anything could have been done differently that may have resulted in a better outcome." Well, Johnson's family filed a lawsuit last month against the officers involved and the city of Fayetteville. That lawsuit is pending. Look for new reporting on this story, including reaction from Johnson's family about today's decision, starting at 4 right here on WRAL.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, a ramp to the Durham Freeway is back open this afternoon after a dump truck spilled something onto the shoulder around 8 o'clock this morning. We do have video from Sky 5 of the scene. If you look here, you can see this tractor trailer overturned. It happened on the Durham Freeway near the Ellis Road exit. This did take several hours to clean up. We're not sure what exactly that truck dumped onto the road or if anybody was hurt in all of this. But again, the ramp from Ellis Road to I-85, the Durham Freeway, is back open this afternoon. 2 Ukrainian war veterans are walking to raise money for a military hospital. Both lost limbs in Russia's last major war with Ukraine back in 2014. Although they could not join the current war, both wanted to do something. The men walked from two cities that were 75 miles apart and met in the middle. Their goal was to raise money for Ukraine's National Military Medical Clinical Center. It took about 5 days to complete their goal, and we're happy to say they raised $84,000. Myrtle Beach is teaming up with a Grand Strand nonprofit to bring back its free beach wheelchair service. The city stopped offering the service during COVID. Now the nonprofit Adaptive Surf Project wants to provide 5 wheelchairs and have the city pay for the lock boxes where they're stored. The organization's director says bringing back the chairs is an important step for locals and tourists.
People look online to find where they can go on vacation, if it's accessible or not, if the hotel's accessible, if the houses are accessible, and that's where they're going to go. It's something that if you make people feel welcome, they're going to come.
A nonprofit donated a wheelchair last week, but is now looking for donations to cover the cost of 4 others. Each chair costs $1,200.
The writers' strike is entering its 4th week as many TV productions remain on hold. Now, several Hollywood A-listers, including SNL alum Al Franken and Sex and the City star Cynthia Nixon, rallied on the picket line not far from 30 Rock Studios. Melissa Colorado explains both sides are still far apart on key issues, including how the industry will adopt AI.
AI cannot write scripts.
3 weeks into the writers' strike.
Show me the money.
And the Writers Guild of America is digging in its heels with a star-studded rally outside of 30 Rock.
What's the freaking holdup?
It's the first writers' strike in 15 years, putting late-night talk shows on hiatus and streaming series on hold. At the center of the clash with studio execs, which are represented by the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, the impact of streaming. Shorter shows mean less staff and less pay.
They don't care now. They're only about the buck.
And then there's the big mystery. How will the studios use AI?
You can't take the humanity out of writing.
Will jobs be at stake?
They won't have good product, and we're going to replace it with robots.
Ray Alma is already feeling the burden of AI. Alma works on animated shows.
We just wrapped up working on Beavis and Butthead.
But now that his next show is on hold, the freelance work in advertising that he used to rely on is being taken up by AI.
The majority of the freelance work I used to get would be for advertising, which has now really dried up because of AI.
I'm old already. I've been in my third strike. I hope the writers will have the fortitude to stay for as long as it takes.
As Melissa Colorado reporting, during the strike, the Writers Guild instructed its writers facing financial hardship due to the strike to apply to the Entertainment Community Fund. As of May 10th, writers had pledged $1.7 million to that fund.
Some might say Florida's weather is for the birds.
Mix of sun and fair weather clouds. Whoa! Oh my gosh, the bird startled me. There we go.
The meteorologist was just trying to show a live camera view of the tranquil beach when that bird came in for the photo bomb, and clearly it startled her. She later tweeted that her brain for a split second was telling her that the bird was going to land on her. A moment of surprise, but then she continued on with her weather report like a pro. Elizabeth Gardner is a pro as well, and you show us live weather cameras all the time. Do you recall ever anything like that happening?
So there's one camera, I think it's the one in Rocky Mount Mills, that has a wasp's nest near it. And there have been times when there's been a giant wasp that looks like some crazy bee movie, that shows up out there. So you never know what's going to show up on your camera. And typically when we look at this one at Lake Gaston, it's something lovely. This time yesterday, there was a boat tied up out here outside the Point restaurant. It's a little choppy. It's a little bit breezy out there right now. And temperatures are not, summer-like at this point, but they may be as we get into the middle to latter part of next week. But I think we're going to miss out, unfortunately, on boating and heading to the pool and all of that for this holiday weekend. The temperatures are going to be cool, and it looks like it's going to be mostly wet. Right now, it is 69 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. We're going to continue to see more and more sunshine this afternoon. Our dew point is a very pleasant 41. That's really low for this time of year. And our temperatures are on their way into the upper 70s with some sunshine this afternoon. We are looking at 68.9 in Rocky Mount, 70 in South Hills, 69 in Southern Pines, 72 in Fayetteville, 70 in Goldsboro right now. Wind speeds not quite as blustery as it was yesterday. Yesterday we had some gusts already at 20-25 miles per hour. It's gusting to 18 in Roxboro and Goldsboro. Our wind is coming out of the northeast, and that's what's keeping our temperatures so pleasantly cool and cooler than normal. Most of our winds are steady anywhere from 5 to 15 miles per hour right now, again, out of the northeast. 78 for the high today in Raleigh, 77 Durham, 80 degrees in Fayetteville. We take a look at our high resolution satellite, and you can see some patches of cloud cover. A lot of what we're seeing is some high, thin cloud cover that is coming in from the southwest. But at the surface, most of our wind is coming out of the northeast right now, and that's what's keeping things on the cool side. You can see a lot of cloud cover closer to the coast, and the closer we get to Friday, the more of that cloud cover is going to continue to back in across our area. Our muggy meter looking pretty good for us. Definitely today, down at around 40 degrees. We're sitting at 41 right now. That just means it means it feels refreshing outside. And then it's looking fine up through Friday. Now, Saturday and Sunday, that dew point is going to end up going up because we're going to have rain in our forecast, and our temperatures will start to go down. 82 is our normal high, 78 today. We dropped to 72 on Friday, then 68 on Saturday. We won't be far from that on Sunday. So again, those are not really pool and lake temperatures, unfortunately. Right now, we've got a 60% chance of rain for Saturday and a 50% chance for Sunday. Both of those days are likely to be wet, at least on and off for most of the day. And then Monday, we may start in the morning with some dry conditions and then end up with some thunderstorms later in the afternoon. So hopefully any Memorial Day events will go off in the morning without being terribly wet. But definitely looking at some wet conditions. Of course, we could see rain starting Friday night, continuing Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So coming up in just a few minutes, we'll add all 3 days together, and I'll show you how much rain we could see and just how windy it becomes as that system takes shape off the coast.
Elizabeth, thanks. People in a historic apartment complex are surprised with a rent hike of several $100s, even after the city promised to keep it affordable. On our News at 4, hear from residents who say they can't afford the increase.
And tonight at 6, go inside a virtual storm with WRAL weather to learn how to stay ahead of the storm and protect your home ahead of the hurricane season. Still ahead this noon, Ford is doing a U-turn on its plan to remove AM radios from vehicles. What made the company change a proposed policy?
Peloton wants to let people know it's more than a bike company. And the Netflix crackdown on password sharing is here. Those are among today's business headlines with Maribel Aber.
Netflix has rolled out its crackdown on password sharing in the U.S. The streaming giant started alerting subscribers yesterday. In an email, Netflix said your account is for you and the people you live with, your household. Everyone else is going to have to pay either with their own membership or through an extra $7.99 a month charge per person to the household account. Netflix is cracking down as it tries to boost revenue and add subscribers. Ford has reversed course on AM radios. The automaker now says all 2024 Ford and Lincoln models will include an AM radio. Ford and other automakers plan to phase out the radios from electric vehicles, saying the engines interfered with the sound of AM stations. But lawmakers want the radios included in all vehicles. They say they're important for emergency alerts, especially in rural areas. No word yet on whether other automakers will follow Ford's lead. Tesla, the leading EV maker, hasn't offered AM radios for years. Peloton is launching a massive rebranding to remind people it's not just a maker of exercise bikes. The company is hoping the rebrand will make Peloton appealing to all age groups and fitness levels. There are 3 new tiers of memberships, including a free one, and there are 2 paid tiers at $12.99 a month and $24 a month. The amount of content you'll have access to varies by plan. There's also 2 additional memberships linked to Peloton's hardware, including one for its strength training camera. And those are your business headlines. I'm Maribel Aber at the NASDAQ Market Site.
Target is pulling some merchandise celebrating Pride Month after it says some employees have been threatened. The company says it is, quote, removing items that have been at the center of the most significant confrontational behavior. Target did not say what those items are. The company also says it has moved Pride Month merchandise from the front of some stores to the back after confrontations and complaints from customers. Pride merchandise has been on sale in Target since early this month, ahead of Pride Month in June.
Cookie and s'mores dough has been connected to a salmonella outbreak. 5 on your side found this involves chocolate chip cookie dough and s'mores bars dough sold at Papa Murphy's pizza stores nationwide. The FDA and CDC are investigating and so far have connected 18 illnesses to the outbreak. Those cases are in the western U.S., but there are several Papa Murphy's locations in the Triangle, as well as Fayetteville and Goldsboro. If you've got this dough in your fridge or freezer, throw it out right now. A family that was just weeks away from celebrating a student's high school graduation is now planning her funeral. We're live with this look right now in Fayetteville, where police are investigating a murder and attempted suicide.
Plus, a field of Republicans joining the race for the White House will officially grow today. Coming up, how Florida's governor plans to make his announcement. First, here's a look at the winning lottery numbers.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
We begin this half hour with breaking news out of Fayetteville, where police are investigating a murder and attempted suicide.
WRAL's Brett Neese is on the scene. Brett, we understand this involved a student who shot and killed his girlfriend.
That's right, Renee. Around 8:15 this morning, sources tell us that suspect shot and killed his girlfriend and then attempted to take his own life here at this home behind me on Carlos Avenue. I'm going to step behind the camera and show you a little bit more of this crime scene. The street is back open, but you can see plenty of crime scene tape that surrounds this home here on Carlos Avenue. There's a forensics van right here, another forensics van just down the street, and that's a police vehicle. And there are several detectives that have been inside and around this property here on Carlos Avenue. That source tells us that the victim in this case, the young girl that died, was a graduating senior at Douglas Byrd High School, just 2 weeks away from graduation. Sadly today, this family now having to plan her funeral instead of that graduation ceremony. I'm working to learn some more information about that suspect who attempted to take his own life, what his condition is in the hospital at this point. As soon as I get some more information, I'll pass that along to you, Renee.
Just devastating all around. Brett Neese, live in Fayetteville. Counselors are also at Hopton Middle School in Sampson County today to help students and staff cope after the death of a 6th grade student. 13-year-old Curtis Brown Jr. died after he was hit by a car on Keener Road near Ashford Road. This happened just before 5 yesterday evening. State troopers say Brown ran into the road in front of the car. The 19-year-old driver will not face charges.
19 children and 2 teachers who were killed at a school in Uvalde, Texas, are being remembered today. Right now, the state of Texas is holding a moment of silence. The time the attack started was 11:30 their time, 12:30 right now. The flags are flying at half-staff for the victims, the survivors, families, and the entire community. Tonight, the city of Uvalde will hold a candlelight vigil to remember the 21 people who were killed. Over the last year, survivors of the shooting and the families of the victims have pushed for increased gun legislation. They say that could have prevented the tragedy.
School systems in our area have been working to boost security and safety. That includes more oversight on who comes into schools. WRAL's Laura Levine shares some of the big changes that have been made and more that could be on the way.
Schools across the state are investing millions of dollars in school security, everything from added police presence to high-tech weapons detection systems. In fact, it was just a few months ago when we were standing right here outside East Millbrook Middle School when dozens of police officers surrounded the school. It's become a very familiar sight with those school lockdowns coming from an increase of threats. Just last night, Wake County Public Schools considered new rules for visitors. Under a draft plan, visitors would need to show ID, submit to a background check, and be chaperoned throughout their visit. Durham is discussing the use of weapons detection systems at its schools after having a trial period. Meanwhile, Person County has already installed systems at 3 of its schools in recent weeks. Granville County School District has approved plans to install metal detectors in all 8 of its elementary schools. I've also reached out to Nash and Johnston County schools who have plans of installing the equipment in the coming weeks. Harnett County has also discussed the possibility. And as many schools are preparing to make those installations this summer, they're also looking at ways that they can continue to make security upgrades for the next school year. Laura Levine, WRAL News, Raleigh.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, we're following some breaking news out of Cary. Alston Ridge Middle School has been evacuated after school officials were alerted to a threat to the school that was posted on social media referencing a possible bomb being reported on campus. School officials did send out an email to parents telling them that all students are safe. Students and staff have been all evacuated from the school, and all roads leading to the school are closed while police are investigating with canines as well. But they do reiterate again, students are safe. They say steps are being taken just as a precautionary measure to ensure the safety of students and faculty. They are asking parents right now not to come to campus, and police are also helping to set up reunification spots for parents to meet their children. Again, Alston Ridge Middle School in Cary evacuated at this time.
Today, the House of Representatives will vote to block President Biden's student loan forgiveness program. The resolution also seeks to end the pandemic-related pause on federal student loan payments. The forgiveness program promises up to $20,000 in student debt relief to millions of low and middle-income borrowers. Lower courts stopped the program before any debt was canceled. It's now waiting for a ruling from the Supreme Court. Americans' approval of the Supreme Court is declining. A recent poll by Marquette Law School found approval of the court stands at 41%, with 59% disapproving. It's a 6% increase in disapproval since January. The latest survey comes after several ethics complaints and controversies surrounding the justices. Some of the court's decisions last year, like reversing abortion rights, could also have contributed to the lower approval rating.
The field of Republicans running for president in 2024 is expected to get a bit more crowded today. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis expected to make his long-awaited announcement official during a conversation on Twitter with Elon Musk. NBC's Dasha Burns first broke the news and has reaction from the Trump camp. Even before officially jumping into the race, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was the only Republican registering in the polling compared to former President Trump, making him a frequent target of Mr. Trump's attacks. And just this morning, the former president reacting to the news of the governor's upcoming announcement on his own social media platform, taking credit for the governor's win in the Florida gubernatorial race and calling him disloyal. Now, Governor DeSantis has avoided directly attacking Mr. Trump, but tonight he will be making his announcement on the platform that was once Mr. Trump's domain. 3 sources tell NBC News that Governor DeSantis plans to make his presidential ambitions public tonight in a conversation with billionaire Elon Musk on Twitter Spaces. That's the website's platform for audio chats. It's an unconventional way to announce a bid for the White House, but we do expect a more traditional campaign rollout following the announcement, with a launch video and visits planned to early primary states next week.
That was NBC's Dasha Burns. A historic poem written by the nation's first youth poet laureate has been removed from an elementary school in Florida. A parent complained that the poem, "The Hill We Climb," contained indirect hate messages. Amanda Gorman wrote the critically acclaimed literary piece and performed it for President Joe Biden's inauguration. Gorman reacted to the move on Instagram, posting, quote, "Robbing children of the chance to find their voices in literature is a violation of their right to free thought and free speech." The Miami-Dade school system says the book has not been removed altogether, just moved to middle schools.
We're coming up on the Friday before Memorial Day, and we'll explain why it's called Don't Fry Day and how to avoid the dreaded summer sunburn.
And as we celebrate AAPI Heritage Month, we'll check in with the voice of the Carolina Panthers, Anish Shroff, how he's paving his way in sportscasting at a national level.
Did you know that the Friday before Memorial Day is known as Don't Fry Day? It's meant to raise awareness about the dangers of sunburns, ultraviolet radiation, and overexposure to the sun. To avoid sunburn, try to avoid the hottest times of the day, usually between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. If you do go outside, wear sun protective clothing, a hat, good sunscreen, and remember, sunscreen should be applied 30 minutes prior to going out and then every 2 hours after that. Dermatologists say it's important to note that you can even get sunburn on a cloudy day.
The skin is going to be very fragile because you've actually damaged a layer of skin. So, making sure you avoid anything irritating, any like anti-aging, anti-acne products, avoid those. You really want to be gentle, so gentle cleanser, and try and rebuild that barrier.
Sunburns can be treated with aloe vera gel. Acetaminophen or ibuprofen can also be taken for discomfort. If blisters develop on a large portion of your skin, you want to see a dermatologist for additional care.
The next time you feel hungry, try looking at pictures of the same food repeatedly. Stay with me now. Researchers in Denmark say looking at the same image of food will often decrease the desire to want to eat them. That's because a person's appetite and cognitive perception are closely linked. Now, to test this theory, they showed people in the study an online image of orange M&M candies, either 3 or 30 times. And the group that saw the picture 30 times did not want the candy as much as those who saw it 3 times. But I want pizza now after seeing that. After the break, we're talking to the voice of the Carolina Panthers, Anish Shroff. We'll hear about how being a first-generation Indian American shaped his career in sportscasting.
And Tesla released what may be its first ad ever. We'll have a look at the new promo video.
North Carolina is home to a rapidly growing Asian American population, surging 68% in the last 10 years. Among them, Indian Americans make up the largest ethnic group. In recognition of AAPI Heritage Month, let's welcome to the show the voice of the Carolina Panthers, Anish Shroff. Anish, great to see you. You've been the Panthers play-by-play announcer for a little over a year now. We loved talking to you about it back then. How much are you enjoying your role with the Panthers?
Oh, it's great. It's great. The first year, listen, as you guys know, you guys cover the team and follow the ups and downs. The first year was interesting, to say the least. But this offseason has been exciting. We've got a new coaching staff in. We had the #1 pick Bryce Young comes in to be the quarterback, some great free agent signings. There's a lot of excitement. It's the 20-year anniversary of the 2003 team that went to the Super Bowl. We've got a little special project in the works in the building that we're going to roll out in the next couple of months, looking back at that 2003 team. So it's an exciting time to be a Panther fan. I know there have been some lean years, but things certainly are trending up.
We're looking forward to following those storylines with the Panthers. A little about your backstory. Your family immigrated from India in the 70s, so you're first-generation Indian American. Talk about how your South Asian roots have shaped your journey to a career in sportscasting.
You know, the biggest thing probably was my mom and my dad. My dad had a degree in accounting, and his passion was photography. And he said, screw this degree in accounting, I want to be a photographer. And that's what he did. And I watched every day my dad go to work doing something that he loves. And so when this was my passion play, and this was something that I wanted to do, my parents were very encouraging and said, hey, Dad did it, you can do it. And then my mom was the person who said, all right, if you're going to do this, do it right. And she really instilled in me reading and becoming culturally literate and all the things that help me and help us in this profession to this day. She started me on that way back when I was in grade school. So I kind of had both sides of it. I saw one person in the family do something they love and the other person say, hey, if you still want to do something you love, you want to be good at it, here's how to do it. And so my parents really had a huge influence.
And Anish, you even gave a TED Talk several years back about the power of undefined. Explain what that means.
I just think so often, sometimes in minority groups, minority subculture, we stereotype ourselves. And I'm not saying all these stereotypes are bad, but if you take Indian Americans, the South Asian community, there is an expectation that if you're not a doctor, if you're not a lawyer, if you're not an engineer, or you don't have an MBA, you're a disappointment or a failure. And part of the process of acculturation, part of the process of being in this country is to sort of find your voice and find your calling. And so I think there's power in being undefined. Nobody can put you in a box. Nobody can say this is what you're supposed to be. And once we can break those cultural shackles, I do think it becomes an easier process to follow your dreams and follow your path. So when I say being undefined, it means you're evolving. It means you're changing. It means that you're not tied to just one lane of thinking.
Well, Anish, you've certainly followed your dreams. You're the only minority play-by-play announcer with an NFL team. So keep pounding, keep up the great work, and looking forward to the upcoming season with the Carolina Panthers. We appreciate you.
Can't wait. Keep pounding.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, we want to take you out live to Alston Ridge Middle School in Cary. This is a live picture from Sky 5. The school has been evacuated out of an abundance of caution. School officials say they were alerted to a threat that the school somebody posted on social media referencing a possible bomb being at the school. So all of the students and staff, faculty have been evacuated here. Looks like to the track area and the football field. Police are on scene as well. They say they are working to set up reunification spots for parents to come and get their kids. But right now they are asking parents not to come to the school. All roads surrounding the school are also blocked off. This is while police investigate. They did send out an email to parents saying all students are safe. They discovered someone posted a bomb threat, and just out of an abundance of caution, they wanted to evacuate the entire school. Sky 5 is on the scene. We are keeping an eye on this. We will let you know of any updates in our later newscasts.
Thanks, Michelle. A couple of comfortable days weather-wise for us, but then we could get a load of rain over the holiday weekend. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
And we take a look outside. This is a live look at Fayetteville, where it looks absolutely beautiful. Lots and lots of sunshine here. We did start with some cloud cover this morning, but those clouds have been dissipating, and now the temperatures will really start to climb, especially down in Fayetteville. When I say really climb, we're going to climb into the upper 70s, and we've been in the 60s for most of the days so far in the bulk of the area. Okay, so down south, there's a low that's that's trying to develop here off the west coast of Florida. That disturbance is going to slide eastward and become a fully formed low as it sits off the coast of Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida. And then it's going to move inland. And boy, the question of what happens for us and how much rain we see will depend heavily on exactly where that low starts to move inland. Earlier in the week, it looked like that low was going to move onshore right here on the southeast coast of North Carolina, and then maybe move on up into Virginia. And it just continues to move farther and farther south. So now it looks like it may make landfall down here in South Carolina and start to spread the rain back over toward the mountains. In that case, the rainfall might be a little bit lighter for us. So we're just watching the trends as we get through the next 48 hours and, kind of seeing which way we're headed with where's the rain going to be heaviest and what time will it start. Friday, 72 degrees. There's really at this point only a small chance that we would see some rain on Friday, but it's not a zero chance. Some of the new high resolution models want to bring it in a little faster. So still watching Friday. Saturday, we have the potential to see rain all day and chilly temperatures with a high of 68. And Sunday, the same story. Rain potentially on and off all day, 71. And then Monday, potentially we start off with some dry conditions and end up with some thunderstorms in the afternoon. So here's a look at Futurecast. You can see that low as it's developing there off the coast of Florida and Georgia. Right now, this version of Futurecast keeps things fairly dry for us on Friday and starts to push that rain in on Saturday. But it looks like it's fairly light here during the day Saturday and potentially begins to pick up in intensity as we get into Saturday night and Sunday. That's one of a handful of solutions. Other solutions have more rain for us on Saturday. This is Sunday at 6 a.m. Some scattered rain that moves across the area. Again, you can see these runs of the computer models are not looking like there are a lot of heavy rain, each day. It's just some scattered showers each day. And then Monday late in the day, the potential for some scattered thunderstorms. So that's our current thinking. We take a look at some of the rainfall totals. It looks like maybe a quarter to a half an inch between Friday and Saturday total. And then we move on into Monday and maybe add a little bit more to that, especially the closer we are to the coast. Wind gusts, that may be a real thing for us. Even on Friday, we could see our winds gusting 30 to 35 miles per hour and could be up to 40 miles per hour on Saturday. So wind could be a big thing. Isolated flooding possible depending on where this actually comes on shore. And we're definitely looking at some cooler high temperatures, those 60s and 70s for Saturday and Sunday, and potentially a little warmer for Memorial Day itself. We'll be right back with your top stories.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today. Sources tell WRAL News a high school student shot and killed his girlfriend before trying to kill himself. This happened on Carlos Avenue in Fayetteville. Sources say the girl who died was a graduating senior at Douglas Byrd High School. The investigation into what happened is ongoing.
Fayetteville officers who shot a woman outside her grandparents' home last July will not face charges. Police shot Jada Johnson 17 times after they say she pointed a gun at herself and at officers. Attorney General Josh Stein says he will not bring charges against those officers. He says evidence shows they acted reasonably in their response.
Right now, Alston Ridge Middle School in Cary is evacuated after an online threat mentioned a bomb. All students and staff are safe. Sky 5 video shows students standing on the track outside the school. Police have not released information about who posted the threat. We will bring you any updates on our evening news and on WRAL.com. Our pet of the day comes to us from Cat Angels NC. Dolly has a beautiful calico coat befitting the princess that she is. She has a medical condition that requires her to be the only cat in the home or with cats with the same illness. But don't let that fool you. She still has the energy and spunk of any other kitten. She is spayed, microchipped, and up to date on vaccinations. If you want to meet your very own princess, then submit an application on the Cat Angels website and be sure to come visit her soon.
She's so cute, huh?
Yes. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You can always get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Looks like a great day out there. We have a couple of them before that rain comes. Get out and enjoy it.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.